Hi guys, how are you all doing? It's Ben here from T-Rex Space Station. I'm sorry that there's been such a massive delay in terms of getting the next community collection questions video out. I really want to get back to doing these quite regularly because I really enjoy doing them, and from the look of your responses you guys like replying to them as well. So if you've not done this before, I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and the idea behind it is that you'll show off games from your collection which we maybe don't see so often. It's just to kind of see the variety of people's different collections and what they've got, there on the shelves that they don't talk about much on YouTube. So the first question is a game with a beautiful art style. Now this doesn't necessarily mean a game that's got really technically demanding graphics or the most smooth rendering or any of that. It's a game that looks unique, that looks beautiful, that maybe the creators took a unique approach. And the game that I've chosen is Okami. And this is the Wii version. The game's actually also available on the PS2 as well. This is an absolutely breathtaking game that looks so beautiful. I think the Wii version added in nice motion controls that maybe gives it the edge over the PS2, but they both look as beautiful as each other, really. This game, you play as a spiritual wolf, and it's kind of an action-adventure game. Behaves a little bit similar to maybe the 3D Zelda games. But the world looks as though it's painted with watercolour. Everything is beautiful, hand-drawn style brushstrokes. And the environments and characters that are created from these brushstrokes just looks absolutely fantastic. There are very few games that look like this. It's just so unique and so beautiful. The game itself is incredibly good as well. It's quite a long and substantive game, and you can probably find this for quite cheap. I don't think I paid very much money for it at all. So I would definitely recommend Okami if you've not heard of it before. The next question is a handheld game, and I'm going to show you a game that I've been playing a lot recently. It's Pokemon Moon, or Pokemon Sun and Moon, on the Nintendo 3DS. Now I've been a massive fan of the Pokemon games since back in the day, since the original Pokemon Red and Blue came out in like 1999. And I've followed most of the iterations of the series and played through pretty much all of them. I have skipped some of them though because the series can become a little bit samey at times. But it's been nice to come back to it after a break, and it's got all of the fun things that I used to love there, and it's basically been polished more and more over the years. The game hasn't transformed all that much. It's kind of lacking in a decent story, but they've tried their best to add more and more plot, but there's still basically a Team Rocket equivalent, and you still have to save the world from a evil person that's trying to control Ultra Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. But it's really fun to play a game with completely new Pokemon, and also a few of the old generation's Pokemon return in this one. They have different evolutions, so like Sandslash has an ice evolution based on the weather. And it is a thrill, like not knowing when your Pokemon are going to evolve, not knowing whether the Pokemon are going to be decent or not, and I've really enjoyed playing through it. I'm kind of 35 hours into it now, and what I'll likely do is just to finish the game after I've beat the Elite Four and leave it there. I'm not likely to keep going on and training EVs and breeding using eggs and battling and all that stuff. I think that's enough for me usually. I just like to sort of come back, enjoy the nostalgia and sort of get a foot in the door, but probably not going to go into all of the metagame and all that extra stuff that's out there. But there is a big competitive scene and all that training and everything else. So, next question is a game with aeroplanes in it. This could be a flight sim game, it could be a game where you control a plane, it could be a game where planes are just slightly involved. And I'm probably pushing my luck a little bit here, but I've chosen Quackshot on the Sega Mega Drive. You'll know that Donald Duck gets transported around in this game by the team in his little biplane, and this is a superb Mega Drive platformer. I was late to the party with this one, but it's a real treat of a game. I have completed it actually. And it's great because it's non-linear. You can go between the different levels and there's kind of puzzles involved in there. And it's got everything that you'd expect from a Disney-style quality platformer. The environments are beautiful. It's pretty challenging, but it's not. It's on the easier side, and I kind of prefer my games on the easier side. You go around shooting a plunger at the enemies and things. All in all, it's just a very, very enjoyable game. One of my favourite platformers on the system. And yeah, if I can beat it, it's not going to be too challenging a game. So that's my game with planes in. Then I've chosen a platform game. I don't need to tell you anything more about that, though these games are making a big resurgence. If you look at Steam and indie games and PlayStation Network, there's lots of new platforms coming out, but I'm sticking with Mega Drive as I always do. This is Ristar, and this was a game that came out very late in the Mega Drive's lifespan, which is a shame because I think often it gets overlooked. But it's a real fantastic, beautiful and challenging game. It's quite a unique concept because you play as this star. It's not fast-paced like Sonic. You've got to kind of grab things, and everything's based on this grab mechanic, chucking the enemies around and swinging from big poles and things. And yeah, it's just the environments are very, very vibrant, very vivid, and quite unique looking. And it's a challenging game. The boss fights in this are pretty brutal. I remember getting kind of far in it, but just reaching a brick wall because it's that old school Mega Drive difficulty. But I think in terms of unique platforms on the system, this is one that you shouldn't pass up if you're interested. And the music on that game is really noticeable. It's so catchy and so well composed. It's just a very high quality, polished game, really. And last but not least is a beat 'em up or brawler. So I am including fighting games in this, but I'm more thinking of the games where you scroll along and beat up people as you go. But I don't really mind. This is another Mega Drive treat. I've gone for Altered Beast, which has got to be one of the more iconic beat-em-up games on the system. It's not my favourite game on the system, but there's something just instantly recognisable about this. Actually, when you know what you're doing with this game, you can beat it in about 20 minutes. But the fun thing about it is collecting those power-ups and turning into your super mutated form. There's lots of cheats I know where you can kind of cheaply beat the bosses, which is how to really get through it. And who could forget the amazing rise from your grave thing you get at the start. Yeah, it's not the best beat 'em up. It's not particularly polished, but it was a very, very early game. I think a lot of original Mega Drives were released with this, and for that reason, it kind of has this legendary status. Like, even though I know it's kind of bad and not amazing and not as good as Streets of Rage and stuff, it's still kind of a good game. It still has to have its place on the shelf, and every now and then I'll take it down and beat it. So there's my 5 games, guys. I look forward to hearing your responses. Please let me know if you've done a response and post the link to it in the comments below so I don't miss it. Take care and I'll speak to you all soon.